First, we will ask a question. Do we have wrong notions about Hatha Yoga? And if yes, how to remove it? That will make the things clear, and then we will select a couple of verses from Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the text, to make the things clear. We are
Girish, 6:30 a.m.
See that?
Currently in Gilbert, it's 78 degrees with showers. Today, there'll be scattered thunderstorms with a forecasted high of 95 and a low of 78.
Gone? Yes. So,
Have a good one. Here's the latest news.
I don't
From CNN News Briefing at 5:51.
Yes. I listen to this news. Anyhow, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. As we discussed in the last week, once we understand that why every master pay gratitude to the Guru and what is the secret hidden in it, we can understand the tradition. But I'm not going there. Gita is the most authentic text of yoga and Eastern wisdom. Do you know that? They add one word before yoga in for every chapter. So are there 18 chapters? So we have 18 different types of yoga. That is how we should understand. That is what we add hatha before yoga. And 18 chapters, every word. The word is used as the first chapter uses the word vishad. Vishad means suffering. How the suffering can become yoga, how the hatha can become yoga. Then we have Sankhya Yoga, means Gyan Yoga. Then we have Sannyasa Yoga. So we have to understand it means yoga is common. And approach that we take, we use the word, one word before it. So in that way, once we understand, then we can remove the wrong notions. Second point, understanding gives us a clarity that yoga is one, declares all the masters. All the masters. And that yoga goal is self-discovery, says Patanjali Yajnavalkya, on which the Hatha Yoga is based. Dattatreya, Lord of Yoga, Shiva, Krishna, they all have one goal of yoga is to discover the self, that is known as awakening, that is known as nirvana, that is known as, and even Yajnavalkya, on which the Hatha Yoga Pradipika text is based, the goal has to be the same. Second, Yajnavalkya talks about eightfold path. Then more or less, if we can say, taken by Dattatreya, and after the Dattatreya, Many Patanjali has taken it. And then Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So in Gheranda Samhita, that is also a Hatha Yoga text which talks about 7 limbs, and Hatha Yoga talks about 6 limbs in their Hatha Yoga Pradipika. We have to understand which book should be called authentic to understand the true nature of yoga. So what we say, we have a complete text which is known as Upanishads. They are the text where the knowledge is revealed. These words, these verses cannot be changed. They remain as an absolute authority, not even a single teacher. Forget about the human being as a human teacher. They are known as the authentic source. They are known as Shruti Granthas. Why? What is the meaning of the word Shruti? Means heard, revealed knowledge. Then we have second group of texts which is also complete. They are known as Smriti Grantha. One of the most important texts is Gita. Gita talks about 18 schools of yoga. I have already explained. They use one word to explain the understanding of yoga. Varimi Vishal, understand the suffering and how the suffering can become yoga. Sankhya, yoga, second chapter. What is Sankhya? Sankhya means a valid knowledge. Clarity is there. I'm just going slowly. Sankhya, in a very simple, common man's language. I'm not explaining what do you mean by the word Sankhya. One word is Kya. Kya means knowledge. And what is that knowledge? Sum. That knowledge is sum. Sum means equal, equanimity, right, authentic. So, can you understand yoga by the knowledge? Yes. Karma yoga. Karma. Then what is karma? Whether I am the doer of any karma or not. Like this. Similarly, we have to understand hatha, the word hatha before yoga. We find the source of the word hatha in Upanishads like Yoga Tattva Upanishad, Jabal Darshan Upanishad. There are 22 Upanishads. Yajnavalk and Dattatreya, Krishna and the Shiva also mentioned it. So after having two set of complete text, we had topical text. What is topical text? They talk about the topic without deviating from the main principle, authentic source. So we can take it Hatha Yoga Pradipika. The text is one topical text, but it does not deviate from the authentic source. We don't study, so we don't understand. So we take a popular notion. For example, Hatha Yoga Pradipika says 15 postures are important. One of them, the most important, is Siddhasana. What is our popular notion? Oh, we should do 84 or 100 postures in different variations. So, am I following the right notion of Hatha Yoga Pradipika? For example, what is popular notion? We are not rejecting it. But we should understand first the clarity. Hatha Yoga Pradipika copied. I am saying copied many verses from the different authentic text. Some of them are from Upanishads, some of them from the dialogue between the Shiva and the Shakti. So when I studied 20 years ago, it was amazing to see that this master copied one text between the dialogue between the Shiva and the Shakti, his wife, from a particular text, and he referred Parvati. That is the meaning of the wife of the Shiva. There is no context, there is no reference, but still he referred it. Why? Because he did not want to lose the masses of yoga. Now, when we talk and understand that this Hatha Yoga Pradipika is basically based on Yajnavalkya Yoga and Dattatreya Yoga. And they both talk about Kundalini. Kundalini comes from Tantra. Tantra means expansion and liberation of energy. So, Hatha Yoga is an offshoot of Tantra Yoga. So, when we use the word Hatha before yoga, we have to understand the meaning of Hatha from these two teachings. What is the literal meaning of Hatha? If you translate Hatha, it means force, pressure, compulsion, suppression. Is Hatha Yoga like this? But still we use it commonly. It's a popular notion. So, how do one way to define Hatha Yoga? Hatha is used to liberate energy, which in terms may be known as Shakti and the Prakriti, and then merging this energy with the consciousness of Shiva. To briefly talk about it, archaeological data, 10,000 years, we have the fossils of Shiva and Shakti. That Shiva is known as Adinatha. Adinatha, the very first originator of yoga. Adi, the first. Natha. Natha is a tradition. So first it was the verbal tradition. We do not know exactly. Then we have a Indus Valley civilization around 1500 BC. Then we have the Shruti. I have already discussed about the complete knowledge of complete books, two sets of complete books. Then we have topical text, and these complete set of books we find Kathopanishad, Shvetasar Upanishad, Maitreya Upanishad, and then we have 22 Yoga Upanishads. They are the authentic source of yoga. So then around 100 BC, something around 100 BC, we can have Yajnavalkya Yoga. Around that time, we have Dattatreya Yoga, on which the Hatha Yoga is based. In South India, we have around 700 AD, 7th century. We have Saint Tirumular, that is based on Shaivism philosophy, and from where Krishnamacharya and they have taken that philosophy. Then we have one of the Natha tradition, the Gorakshnath, Matsyendranath. That is what is mentioned in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. To be very clear, if the Hatha Yoga Pradipika pays gratitude to the Natha tradition, it has to do with the Yoga Yajnavalkya and Dattatreya Yoga. It means that that word Hatha has nothing to do with the force compulsion, or so-called the popular notion that I have done 20 postures, beginners Hatha Yoga. I have done 50 postures, intermediate Hatha Yoga. I have done 100 postures, it is an advanced yoga. Nowhere it writes. Nowhere it writes. Nowhere. So, we will also understand there is a mention of mudras. So the moment we say mudras, we say hand gestures. There is no hand gesture in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. We don't teach those Hatha Yoga mudras to our students. Do we really follow Hatha Yoga Pradipika? Question should be asked by every teacher. And this mention of this mudra is by another great master, Kapila. So Hatha Yoga Pradipika mentions mudras and talks about Hatha Yoga is based on Yoga Yajnavalkya, many Upanishads, and the Tatraya. Not what we think is the popular notion. So if Hatha Yoga Pradipika talks about 15 postures, why we teach 100 postures? No, that is my understanding. Now come to our understanding. Come to what? So our understanding means I'm an independent thinker. Very good, you are an independent thinker. So you are studying physics, you are an independent thinker, and you talk of medicine. That is what you say independent thinking. Does any independent thinking will do benefit to the tradition or the knowledge? Now I'm studying physics, let me talk about medicine. Why? Because no, I have an independent thinking. The way it is not valid in modern system, same way it is also not valid in Eastern wisdom. So should I not have an independent thinking? Yes, I should have an independent thinking, but it should be self-disciplined thinking to understand any stream of knowledge. What is self-disciplined thinking? I'm studying Hatha Yoga. Let me find out the source of Hatha. Let me know the understanding of yoga. I should remain confined and to have a total independence in that stream of knowledge. Then I can say that I have an independent thinker. Otherwise, why you are teaching like this? No, this will not work. So whether we follow the tradition or we follow the popular notion, that will be very clear. Why? The truth never changes. That is why we have a tradition. We have a tradition. I give you another example. We know by physics that atom consists of electron, proton, and neutron. Now I have an independent thinking. I add another, neutron is another part. Why don't we have another part? This independent thinking will not work. It causes lot of wrong notions. I should remain confined when I'm studying physics. We don't do it in yoga. When we don't do in yoga, then we question. When we question, then Master says you have to become a seeker first. First become a seeker. Otherwise, this intellect will cause lot of harm, doubt, and confusion. Very clear. I'm just making it understand. So before I have cleared about the complete text, group of Upanishad, second complete text, the Smriti Grantha, that is one of them is Gita. The third complete text is Sutra. We can include Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the main source. There are other sutras, Sankhya Sutras, Brahma Sutras. So these three are known as the complete text, the authentic source. We are not talking of any teacher. We are not talking of any master. We are talking of authentic text. But these authentic texts conveys the highest teaching of yoga that we cannot understand easily. That is why we have a topical text. The topical text also talks about the complete text, but specifically with one topic. Like we have 18 chapters of yoga in Gita. Every chapter you have a yoga in the end, and it clarifies what it talks about. Vishad Yoga, Suffering Yoga, Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, etc., etc. Same way the Hatha Yoga is. Now ask a question. Why we need a topical text? Like Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there are many topical texts. The one you have edited, How to Succeed. So that is a topical text. known as Tattvabodha, and many others. To study complete text is very difficult, like a kid is studying atomic physics. So without understanding what atom is, so these topical text gives us a summary of summary. Oh, this is what exactly is yoga. This is what you should be doing. This is what you should not be doing. That is what the Hatha Pradipika text is, like others. Now understand wrong notions. First wrong notion we create by translating the Sanskrit word into English. As I discussed, Hatha has many meanings. One of them is definitely the force and the pressure, but it does not mean when we use the word Hatha Yoga, it applies there. No yoga advocates force, otherwise, Yama and Niyama could not have been included. Yama and Niyama cannot be enforced. Can one force non-violence? Truth, to learn yoga. No, no, no. Hatha means force and compulsion. So we carry the wrong notion and we fall fall away from the tradition. Second wrong notion. Oh, Hatha Yoga means you do the posture 15, 20, 50, 100. Do you follow Hatha Yoga Pradipika? No. Why? Because it contains only 15 postures. Why you teach? I'm not against it. No. Better to teach. But understand the wrong notions that we create. We remove, we don't teach mudras, the Hatha Yoga mudras at all. I'm not talking of Yoga Alliance also. That is totally a different aspect altogether. No, no, I have to twist everything according to Yoga Alliance. So I leave the tradition. So I'm not talking of that. We will talk later. What should we do? First, we should understand the entire import of Hatha Yoga Pradipika and the Hatha Yoga, why it has been written. Is it an authentic source, or Hatha Yoga Pradipika takes the authenticity from the teachings of other masters from the other texts? Then we will be clear about Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Our mistake, our intellect is greater than the author. That is why we raise doubt. We have lot of questions. Not a self-disciplined thinker, but an independent thinker, I have already mentioned. Then, then we are not studying Hatha Pradipika from the text. Then we have our own views, opinions, and idea. Opinion, views does not work. Yoga talks about the valid knowledge. So why tradition demands self-disciplined learning? That is how we become a seeker. The very first verse in Hatha Yoga Pradipika says that I have learnt it from the masters, from the Natha tradition. But I want to learn as an independent thinker. It will not work. That is why we have created a popular notion. I'm not against anything. We have created a popular notion, and then there is a real notion. So when we follow the authentic source, we follow the authentic tradition. It is not one individual. It is about the authenticity. So now let us, based on this, let us pick up couple of verses from Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Do we teach? It is the verse number 37 in the first chapter. The master explains about Siddhasana. Do we teach this Siddhasana? Do we pay attention on what this text is talking about? Siddhasana is a meditative posture, and it is talking about, go to the verse number 41. We say headstand posture, walking on the Walking on your hands, inverted pose, is the most important pose. Hatha Pradipika says Siddhasana should always be practiced. Not even he mentions that you should do breathing to purify your nadis. He says you practice Siddhasana regularly, and when the duration of that practice of Siddhasana increases, it will purify your impurities. We don't know. Why? We don't study. Another where he says, by contemplating, next posture, 42 verse, Atmadhyayi mitahari. Your Atmadhyayi, contemplation on oneself means one real self, not on the body. And by practicing Siddhasana for 12 years, the yogi obtains success. What it means to the modern man, modern practitioners. I claim that I have been practicing yoga for the last 25 years. How many hours can you practice Siddhasana? Oh, maybe 2 or 3 minutes I feel discomfort, but I can do headstand. Popular notion. What Hatha Yoga is teaching? Are we really teaching Hatha Yoga, Pradipika? Very good. 43rd, other postures are of no use. What we are teaching, pay attention. Other postures are of no use. Kirmanye bahurabhi pithe siddhe siddhasane sati. When success has been achieved in Siddhasana and Pranavayu becomes calm and restrained by Keval Kumbhaka. So here he mentions Siddhasana, regular practice. I've been doing yoga for 20 years. Do I practice daily, which is the simplest posture to be done? 20 years. At least I should be able to sit in Siddhasana for more than an hour. The body, mind, prana, they all are harmonized. I'm not saying this is the saying of this. Success in, take up the 44th verse, success in one Siddhasana alone, becoming firmly established, one gets unmani at once. Unmani is another name of highest state of meditation. And the three bonds accomplished of themselves means Jalandhar Bandh. We say neck lock, belly lock, anal lock. They are automatically revealed. Means when you are practicing Siddhasana, these three locks can easily be practiced. It cannot be practiced, but it will come to you by the regular practice. Are we teaching Hatha Yoga, Pradipika? Very good. Go to the 45th verse. No. There is no asana like Siddhasana, no kumbhaka like Kevala. There is no mudra like Khechari, and no laya like Nada. Are we talking of laya yoga and Hatha Yoga? Yes. We are practicing karma yoga. We have to have a jnana yoga. Without jnana yoga, you cannot practice karma yoga. You are practicing Raj yoga, meditation. Without jnana yoga, you cannot do it. So understand the meaning of the word that we used before yoga, what it conveys. When we use the word hatha before yoga, raja before yoga, this is what this master understands the tradition, so he bravely refers. Now see that another verse 51st in the first chapter. Padyasane sthito yogi nadi dvarena puritam marutam dharyesthu mukto natra sanshaya. He uses the word regular practice of Padmasana helps you calm down the mind and you can enter into a natural state of meditation. Are we guiding our students as a yoga teacher? or we follow the popular notion. So when I follow the popular notion, I have an independent thinker. I become an independent thinker, leaving the tradition and the wisdom. I have to study physics. I should have a self-disciplined thinking. Why I have an independent thinking? I raise doubt. Why I raise doubt? Because I don't have a knowledge. I don't study it correctly. Okay, leave that. Let us go to the 58th verse. 58th verse says the nadis should be cleansed of their impurities by performing the mudras, asanas, by practicing the mudras. We say, oh, popular notion, breathing, respiration, exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. What the master is saying. By the practice of mudras, you clean. What you clean? Impurities. What the impurities you clean? In the energy pathways. How many energy pathways? 72,000. What? Not by breathing, but by mudra? Yes. Do we really follow it? That is the question we should. I go to the second chapter. We do not pick up the correct understanding. That is very clear in the second verse of the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Chale vate chalam chittam nishchale nishchalam bhavet. You might have heard this verse from me hundred of times. Mind regulates the prana, prana regulates the mind. Means I understand, I have a clarity of knowledge. Intellect has a clarity and a conviction, then that intellect and the mind can regulate the prana. Means what? Are you an intellectual person? Yes. Do you understand the step? Yes. Sit and close your eyes, your prana can be regulated. Now it is not regulated, then practice pranayama. So prana regulates the mind, mind regulates the prana. Look at the clarity. We don't want to be clear. No, practice breathing, this kumbhaka and we have different names, Kapal Bhati and Bhastrika, etc., etc. Malakula Sinari Ishu Marutu Naiva Madhyaga, the fifth verse. The breath does not pass through the middle channel owing to the impurities of the nadis. Understand the basics. What is the basic? Why we practice pranayama? To allow the mind to move into the middle channel. Why we practice pranayama? In a popular notion, we have to remove this popular notion. We have to go to the basics. How can then success be attained and how can there be the unmani avastha? Unmani, pertaining to the mind. Unmani means meditative state. We don't go for it. Why we don't go, I don't know. Shuddhameti, take the fifth verse. When the whole system of nadis, which is full of impurities, is clean, then the yogi becomes able to control the prana. Go back to the first verse, Siddhasana and Padmasana. No pranayama is done. And now link this here. Then you will find the true import of Hatha Yoga. Now he says, no, I cannot do it. So let me do the practice of pranayama. Sixth verse. Pranayama should be performed daily with the sattvic buddhi. Sattvic buddhi. Are we talking of physical practices? No, we are talking of knowledge. Sattvic buddhi. Sattvic buddhi, intellect free from rajas and tamas, in order to drive out the impurities of the. Now, what it means? It simply means I do practice of breathing for 20 years without having a right knowledge that I should have the sattvic buddhi. sattvic temperament in the mind, nothing is going to happen. You do pranayama for 20 years. But we do not want to understand why. I am an independent thinker and I follow the popular notion. I leave the seventh and the eighth verse of the second chapter on you to understand, to listen to it. And even the 11th verse, I leave on you. And then other verse, Athat, yes, now another very important practice of Shat Karma, we can go to 21st verse. If I have certain challenges at the physical level, like cough, cold, and other challenges at the physical level, we never mention Shat Karma, which is one of the most important limb of Hatha Yoga. Whether you talk of Hiranya Samhita, you talk of Siddha Siddhanta Paddhati, another text of yoga, you talk of Hatha Yoga Pradipika, you talk of, no, asana is okay. 120 asanas, and then I'm an advanced practitioner. Now, what he says, 21st verse. If there be excess of fat and phlegm in the body, the 6 kinds of kriyas should be performed first. But others not suffering from the excess of these should not perform them. That also includes Kapalbhati. Why we practice Kapalbhati? No. I have my own understanding. But now, because it is a topical text, the Hiranya Samhita gives the Shat Karma practices an extreme clarity. There are more than 20 different practices that can easily be done if we don't want to do some neti and other stuff. There are more than 20 practices. They can easily be done by the kid, youth, old. But our popular notion rejects that idea. So, Dhautir so I leave that on this. We need to think about it. Trataka, the gaze fixing, is also comes under Shat Karma. We don't make it clear. Nauli comes under Kapal Bhati is a practice of Shat Karma. It is not a breathing practice. Even though it involves breathing, verse number 35. So we don't say it is pranayama. We say there are 6 limbs according to Hatha Yoga Pradipika. One of them is Shat Karma, like one group is asana. Under Shat Karma, the practice of Kapalbhati comes. But we say it is breathing. It is pranayama. It's not because I should have taken every verse by verse, then the things becomes clear. So now go to 42 verse in the second chapter. Marute madhya sanchari manah stharyam prajayati yuna manah sthiri bhava saiva avastha manomani. Look at it from the chapter 1 of the asanas in the pranayama. This master is referring relaxation, meditation, control of the mind. Why? Goal is, yoga is clear, very clear. He is mentioning what he says, steadiness of the mind comes when the air moves freely in the middle. So goal is steadiness of the mind. That is what is, he says, manomani mudra, manomani. What we are talking of Hatha Yoga, are we talking of physical exercise system? Then physical exercise system is much better, highly developed than so-called, if we have a popular notion of Hatha Yoga as only the practice of asanas. Then I leave, just I'm going into the basic. It's very important on the 50th verse, Hatha Yoga, this master has given detailed understanding of the pranayama. So I leave it on you to understand which pranayama involves the mental steadiness first before doing the pranayama. A detailed explanation is already there in Sanskrit, so we will take up later. Now, let us go little. Now go to the third chapter. What is that? Mudra. Have we ever studied Hatha Yoga Pradipika? Which we say Hatha Yoga Pradipika should be taught in a curriculum. Third chapter is Mudra. How many times we have discussed about this Mudra? How many practices we have given in our curriculum? I believe it is Hatha Yoga Pradipika. The text says, first, what he says. Now see that it gives you an understanding that you Yajnavalka Yoga, Dattatreya Yoga. Tantra, word that I have clarified just now, what he says. As the chief of the snakes is the servant of earth, with all the mountains and the forest on it. So all the Tantra rest on Kundalini. Why he refers Tantra? Because it is an offshoot of Hatha Yoga is an offshoot of Tantra. Tantra from our great master Yajnavalka. When we study directly the meditation, we study Jnana Yoga, we refer Yajnavalka. We are studying Tantra, we refer Yajnavalka. If we follow the authentic source, if we study Hatha Yoga, we have to refer Yajnavalka. I have already explained before. Anyhow, the fourth one. Sushumna Shunya Padavi Brahmarandram Mahapatha Samshanam Shambhavi Madhyamarg Chaityakavachaka Sushumna Shunya Padavi Brahma Randhra Mahapath Samshana Shambhavi Madhyamarga are names of one and the same thing. What it means? It means that you, at least, Swatma Ram, the author of the book, is very clear. He referred these different words belonging to Raja Yoga, Tantra Yoga, Laya Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Jnana Yoga. What it means, I have already explained. We use the word yoga later, and before the word that we use, what it means. So I have to take the meaning of Hatha from Yogi Yajnavalka Hakara Kirtita Suryeshtakara Chandra Uchyate Jivatma Paramatmano Evam tu Dvanda Jalasya Sanyogo Yogatyokto. I should not have an independent thinking. Why? I should base my intellect on to get the knowledge from these texts. No, Hatha means force. Hatha means practice of 100 asanas. I'm not against any popular notion. See that? That's very clear. He wants to remove the wrong notion. Now look at the 9th verse. Gopaniyam prayatnena yatha ratna karandakam That's why I have not included the mudras. Why? These mudras should be kept secret by every means, as one keeps one's box of jewelry should on no account be told to anyone. Why? The answer given in other texts, the knowledge of yoga is an open secret. But this secret will be open only to a seeker, not to a layman, not to be swayed by the popular notion. So I'm not swayed by the popular notion. I become the seeker. When you are a seeker, the knowledge will be revealed to you. That is why it says to should be kept secret. So we keep it secret because we don't teach, or we don't want to teach. Both are the you can add. I'm not going into deeper in this. Uh, go to that. Mm, Go to the third chapter, 63rd verse. Prano apano nadibindum mulabandhen chekatam gatva yogasya sansiddhim gacchato natra sansaya. Prana, apana, nada, bindu, uniting into one in this way gives success in yoga undoubtedly. Now he is clearly mentioning yoga, mentioning. Okay, let us go to another verse. That is also, this directly comes from one Upanishad, 97th, third chapter. Kutilangi Kundalani, Bhujangi Shaktishwari, Kundalya Arundhati Chaite Shabda Paryai Vachaka. Kutilangi, Kundalini, Bhujangi, Shakti, Ishwari, Kundali, Arundhati are all these words are synonymous. Synonymous. And these are the words used in Tantra. Why Tantra in Hatha Yoga? Because Hatha Yoga is an offshoot of Tantra. What is the source? Yajnavalkya and Dattatreya. They talked about eight-limbed path. He removed the two and he added. Again, he is referring the practice of Siddhasana in the verse number 107. Keeping the feet, Sati Vajrasane Pado Karabhyam Dhari. The moment you enter into yoga, I talked with reference to 8 postures. Siddham Padam Tatha Bhadram Muktam Vajram Cha Swastikam. I cannot practice Siddhasana. Let me practice Padmas. At least can we inspire our kids or everyone to at least sit in Padmasana for 5 minutes in the first week, 6 minutes in the second week, third week. We should inspire them what benefit you will get. No, that's not our cup of tea. I have been referring 72,864 authentic source refers 72,864. So verse number 116. So he refers 72,000. So in my teaching, I refer. Yes, go to the 119 third chapter. Raj Yogam Bina Prithvi, Raj Yogam Bina Nisha. Without steering, can I drive a vehicle? I have 4 wheels. The steering is not absent. The whole car, whole yoga, Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga. It is for you to understand. Now go to the 4th chapter. Why in Hatha Yoga Pradipika we talk of Samadhi? Samadhi means highest meditation. Why? Why? Because we have an independent thinker, we believe our understanding of Hatha Yoga is different from the text. So let it be Namah Shivaya, salutation to the Guru, first verse, dispenser of happiness to all, appearing as Nada, Bindu, Kala, one who is devoted to him obtains the highest. Devoted means I must have the right knowledge and understanding. What second verse? He says, I'm going to regular method of attending to Samadhi, means meditation. Why we talk about meditation in Hatha Yoga? And that in the topical text, Samadhi. So he is very clear about yoga. We are clear or not, that is totally different. Look at the third verse, which is the most important in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. The chapter 4, then the third and the fourth verse. Now he says all are same, synonyms. What? Synonyms? Raj Yoga. Hatha Yoga are synonyms. Samadhi, synonym. Unmani, no mind. Manomani, absorption of the mind. Amrit Tattva, nectar. Laya, Tattva. I talk about Tattva from the Tattva Bodha, that the book you have edited. Shunya. Shunya means not, nothingness. What the guy is saying? Do we really understand it? From the Hatha Yoga text. We understand, we will follow the authenticity. What he says, synonyms. So we differentiate. Why? Because it is our understanding without study. We are independent thinker. So what he says, Raj Yoga, synonyms with what? Hatha Yoga. Go to the fifth verse. That too is great. As salt being dissolved in the water becomes one with it. Salt is the mind, water is the real self. That is symbolic. Symbolic. So when Atma and the mind, Atma means the real self, and the mind becomes one. What we are talking, what we have taught. Self discovery, real self. So even if the objections are not gone from the mind, then take the sixth verse. You can find out the reference of Maris. Take the seventh verse. Equanimity is Samatvam Yoguchate from Gita. Every master has to give reference of the authentic source. If the master is, you can also have the eighth verse. Now, first he clarified they are synonyms. Then he says, or who can know the true greatness of the Raj Yoga knowledge, mukti, condition, and siddhis can be learned by instructions from a guru alone. Guru alone. Then go to, yes, opening of the Naris. I think, Bhavano Badhyate Yen. Okay. Now see the most important funny verse is 27th. Do you see it is Parvati? He has copied the text as it is from a dialogue between the Shiva and the Shakti. That is why the translation says, O Parvati. Parvati is another name of Shakti, the wife of Shiva. Means what? The source, he is referring from the source. I should not dare to say he referred it by mistake. He should have created his own verse that Shiva says in this text. But that he made it clear in the very first verse that this is the Natha tradition, Shaivite tradition. Now go to the 29th verse. Mind is the master of the senses and the breath is the master of the mind. I have been talking a lot about it to the kids. Mind and the breath. The breath is in turn is the subordinate to the absorption, and that absorption depends on the nada. Let us take another one, 32 verse. It says, when all the thoughts and activities, oh, come on, I'm teaching Hatha Yoga. Why this should be taught? When all the thoughts and activities are destroyed, then the laya stages is produced, where it is written in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. What is our popular notion and what is the real notion is explained in this verse again. Being known by the self experience, I find my real self. The real meaning, if we go a little deeper, go to the 34th again. Shastras means complete books. Ved, Shastra, Puranani. So I started with the complete books number one, Upanishads, complete books number two, the Smriti, the complete books number three is the Sutra. That is what is referring. And then take Visambhavi Khechari, that is about Atho Unmani. 38th verse. Why he is talking of no mind? In Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Why? So we go. I just picked up this then. Then he talks about, because he is much later than Buddha. Look at the verse 55th. Atah shunyo bahi shunyah shunyah kumbh ivambare atah purno bahi purnah purnah kumbh. He uses the word shunyam, nothingness. In this sutra, how many times? One in this verse, three times. So we need to understand this meaning. Go to the 59th verse. That is, he talks about the Trinity. In the third chapter of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we talk about Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So he talks clearly about it. He mentions it by creating his own verse. Why? Now going to the verse number 69, 70, 71, 2, 3, 4. If we really understand until from 69 to the verse 80, we understand the clear import of Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the topical text where he mentioned the entire journey of yoga, which he named as Hatha Yoga Pradipika. He says Arambhavastha, the first stage of progress, second stage of progress, third stage of progress, third stage of progress. So he talks about three stages in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. And in the third stage, means the final stage, he says meditation. Helps you to reach to Unmani state. Unmani is a higher meditative state. Higher meditative state. So we can find out that Hatha Yoga Pradipika have not a proper arrangement of yoga, but that we cannot challenge. Because if we are studying Hatha Yoga Pradipika, we should have a self-disciplined thinking. If we don't have, now look at the verse number 103. I talk about discernment and dispassion. It is there. It is there. And 110 verse, he has made a little change from the verse of Gita. So I completed Hatha Yoga. So do you see that? So my friend, we should first study. We should first understand. That's why I always say Shravanam. First thing, I don't know, let me know it. So I understand the principles. Second is I let these principles becomes my own. I should not demand my intellect to have an independent thinking. Studying physics, talking about medicine will not work. Third is the practice. Now I'm very clear about the practice, the goal of the practice, the aim of the yoga is definitely nothing but self discovery. Tell me your objections of Hatha Yoga
No
Pradeep.
objections. No, no objections. I think I'll work with the girls. I've set the training schedule, which I sent to you for the rest of the year. I'm going to see Avery more than I'm going to see Hayden. And I think I'll spend more time with the girls in the seated postures. So the challenge will be, today you're going to sit in this posture with stillness, no wiggling, for 5 minutes. And then we'll work on 10 minutes. We'll see if we can't get an incremental. If they're doing their homework during the week, then the next time I see them, they should be able to double their time. So I'll work on the seated postures.
You send me a different lesson. No, you teach this. So I teach this. But if we follow purely the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, everything is covered.
Yeah. No, we have.
Less or more is a different aspect.
Yeah. I'll teach the principles that you brought forth today in our last session, but I'll also, we'll still follow what the Yoga Alliance wants, which, by the way, I have to renew our school license. I'll do that today, and teacher license. I think yours is still okay. Mine needs to be renewed because we still have these students that are in the program that want to register with Yoga Alliance. So we have to keep that registration as long as we have students. So as long as we have Hayden and Avery, we have to keep a school presence because they bought into the program because of Yoga Alliance. So I'll renew that today because we've expired. Yep. That's that. Have you heard from Kavita yet?
No.
Well,
No.